All right, we are started.
We are started. Let's call the meeting to order of the library board. Today is November 19th, and it is 5:03 p.m. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, again, welcome. Can we have roll call, please?
Yes. Tony.
Here.
Aaron.
Here.
Camille.
Here.
Jordan.
Here.
Gail.
Here.
Tracy.
Here.
Barb.
Here.
Alderman Wolf is absent, and Michelle is absent but on her way.
All right. Thank you. Statement of public notice, please.
This meeting was noticed in accordance to the open meeting law.
All right. Public comment. Not seeing anyone from the general public here this evening. We have to change that one of these days. We need to get some people.
Just get some random person to come in.
Yeah, some
We need
random
more
citizen.
friends.
We do. Consent agenda. Looks like 2 items on that agenda this evening. Number 1 being the approval of minutes in the October 15th, 2019 meeting, and to place on file library financial reports for the month of October 2019. So at this time, I will look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Neil, thank you. Barb, thank you. Further discussion.
I have something. And I'm really proud of myself for remembering to let it get motioned first. Usually I just start talking before the motion even occurs, so that's fantastic. I did want to call out something on packet page 10. That's the financials for October. The maintenance of building and grounds line item, you're going to see that it's slightly over budget. It is going to get more over budget. We had some unfortunate stuff happen over the summer, like a compressor that broke, and that compressor cost $9,000. And we had a couple of those things happen this year with the HVAC, and of course those types of things. The fire and sprinkler system had to be repaired in some areas, so things that I didn't feel could be deferred until the budget reset. I'm not worried though, because I have looked at other budget line items to see where I can save some money, so I'm not concerned about the overall budget going over, and that is something because the head of finance at City Hall knows how nervous I get about ever being over budget, and she has always assured me, the bottom line is, are we in the black or are we in the red? So just know that I'm aware that line item is over. You're going to see it go over probably by about $10,000 to $14,000 when all is said and done, but I'm taking it into account in the overall budget. So just wanted to make you aware of that. So that I just wanted to mention that. I think that was it for the consent agenda.
Anything else?
I'm just curious on that item, as we're talking about strategic plan and all of those kinds of things. There really isn't anything in the strategic plan about compressors or like that type of thing. Is there a reason for that we don't put fix a compressor? Like something specific as far as, because you've got to know what things are aging out and everything. So, but we don't put specific equipment in facilities.
I talked to maintenance about that, and I said, oh my gosh, we have a $9,000 compressor in the building? I had no idea. That's horrifying. And I said, how often do things like this break? And he said, they can go on for years. He's like, there's really no way of anticipating. So our building and maintenance budget is designed to absorb or anticipate 1 or 2 of these events. It's just between the sprinkler system and the HVAC. We got hit by about 3 things this year.
So no need to put like particular items like that on a long range plan.
But that being said, when we talk about my performance evaluation, one of my goals this year, which I haven't quite finished yet, just due to time, was to create a building maintenance plan for just this event, to actually go to maintenance and say, what is happening in our building? How old are all of these components? And when should we anticipate the possible? So that's in my goals for this year, and I'm working on it right now. It's just not complete yet. So
there's nothing large enough that would require a capital expense, I guess.
Well, the roof, but that's put into the strategic plan. The parking lot, that's in the strategic plan.
Okay.
But yeah, it's. I now know how much our compressors cost, and I'm very sad about it.
Things happen.
Yep.
I understand. So, but I'm going to make sure we're covering specific equipment because this building isn't getting younger. So.
That aren't true for all of us, right?
No,
but also the building, yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? Any further questions? All right, hearing none. Yes, go ahead, Tracy.
I have none.
Oh, you have none. Okay, thank you. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda then please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. The consent agenda is approved as presented.
Yeah.
Thank you. President's report, no formal report. I promise one of these days we'll work on that as well. We'll actually sit down and take some time to come up with the president's report, and then we'll again work on bringing some random citizens in here and bring public comment as well.
This was not the month, though, to have a long president's report.
That's
So I
true.
appreciate your thoughtfulness.
That's true. That's a good point. So we'll get into the director's report then. Great.
All right. I know time is of the essence, so I guess I'm just going to call out, you will have read through the report, so if you have any questions, I'll entertain it. I will just call out that December 17th is the next library board meeting, and as I mentioned last time, we didn't have a quorum last year, so we ended up having to cancel, which was fine. We took care of the business we needed to in January. And I think at the time when I asked, people were like, oh, that's too far in advance to know. Does anyone have any knowledge now whether or not they'll be able to not attend the December 17th meeting?
I'm not 100% sure, but I will let you know.
Okay. No, that's okay. I'm just sort of taking an informal poll, and it's just more helpful so that if, a couple days before we end up canceling, at least you guys sort of know, like, this might not be on the table, so. And you know what? You don't even have to answer right now. Just email me, in the coming weeks, as soon as you happen to know if you can't attend. The sooner I know, then I can let you all know if we're having a meeting. So I'll just make that call out. Any other questions about the director's report, though? Oh, I'm sorry. Tracy did have a question that she mentioned in an email about the June drop.
I sent you the number exactly with the email.
Okay.
I'm concerned about the number in June and July. I thought July actually looked like it was down also. So not that it's a big deal, but I just, if we're looking at numbers, we're going to be concerned that our attendance was down.
Yeah.
In the summer months.
Oh, you know what? I was only looking at checkouts, so you're right. So I can tell you that the so anyway, just to give the background. So as Tracy said, if you look at the packet page 16, the June checkouts and then corresponding library visits were down by quite a significant amount. For July, our checkouts were up, but our attendance was down. For June, when I got back from maternity leave, I went, oh my goodness, that's unusual for June of any of the months to be down. Now, of course, we can't always increase based on our previous year, but that is a pretty significant drop. So as I thought more about it and as I talked to staff, the thing that occurred to me was in June of last year was the grand reopening of the children's area. And we had hundreds of people come in that day alone to look at the space. And then throughout the entire month, it was just, new excitement, kind of like Festival Foods in Hales Corners. There's something new, so there's going to be an initial push as people see all the new spaces.
Also, school went up quite late last year.
Oh, that's
It was the
right.
15th, so you missed probably
Yeah.
2 weeks, because the year prior, we let out early.
Sure.
Construction.
Oh, that's a good point.
So
Yeah, the
that's
middle
where you
school, the
lost
middle
a
school,
lot.
yeah.
I didn't even think about the school release being a factor. Thank you. That's helpful perspective as well. I did go run the numbers. I took June of 2017 and I compared it to June of 2019 just to see, like, take out that abnormal. And then it's still a drop, but it's about, I think it was, oh gosh, what did I say in the email? 8% as opposed to 16%. So still a drop, but not quite the same as 16%. For July, I really don't have a large perspective on that regarding library visits. So,
Well, it could be in correlation to people taking vacation. There's not a lot of people
First blush, summer.
I was curious if we offer less programming during summer, but I would think that would not be true because I think we have more kids in the library during summer, but I'm not 100% sure.
yeah, I instinctively, although I haven't looked at the programming numbers, I do not believe we did any type of program reduction that would account for just a drop. So,
But we did also increase the number of books the kids could check out from school
oh,
for
interesting.
the
Okay.
summer. So we let middle schoolers take on up to 15.
Mm-hmm.
And so that could impact the number of checkouts too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
another.
that's actually good to know.
That's a good point.
It's just, the thing is rather than having them sit there collect dust,
Mm-hmm.
have them check out as much as possible. So
Excellent. Any other questions?
Thank you for explaining that.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, by bringing it up, it gave me even additional perspective. So that was really helpful call out. Anything else for the director's report?
All right. Well, thank you, Becky. Moving along then, unfinished business, seeing none on the agenda. So we'll move into new business. Several key items on the agenda this evening, as you're aware. Number one, looks like an action item here, approve the 2020 annual addendum to the Bridges Library System member library and cafe agreements. Brittany.
Gail, are you okay with doing this one first, or would you like us to try it? Okay. This document is something that we have to approve every year. It's just our agreement that we are going to get a certain amount of money paid from Waukesha County Lake Shores and an innovation improvement grant. So we're going to get that money where it says paid to the library. And then also this is just an agreement that these bills will come due in 2020. I received these numbers in advance. It's already built into the budget request I made for 2020. So nothing here is a surprise or unusual to me. It's built into our 2020 budget, which was approved by the council in the fall. So it's just us saying that we know it's here and we'll pay for it.
So at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the annual addendum and to sign it and submit it accordingly.
Yeah, make a motion to approve the 2020 annual addendum to the Bridges Library System member library and cafe agreements.
All right, thank you, Gail. Is there a second on that?
I will second.
Neil, thank you. Discussion?
Yes. Any one of these, in particular, ones that we pay out, this looks like we're getting more money than what we're paying out, at least on these particular items, is not worth it? Or do we pay for all of them regardless? What is,
Are you referring to the
the
paid
ones
by
on
library?
the group on the bottom?
Okay.
The ones that we pay out, I was curious, like for an example, do our patron days, do they, Gale courses,
Mm-hmm.
is that worth $2,856 or do one or two people use it? I guess that's what I'm kind of asking. And do we pay for it no matter what?
So the Gale courses is something that as a system we would all have to pay for or all as a system agree not to. That being said, Gail has sort of been on the chopping block for a while now. It comes to the directors' meetings once a year, and that's always one where we're just continuing to see a drop in usage. So it's something that we're sort of weighing. Have we done our best effort to advertise? I don't think we have, and so that's a push that I want to work on next year. But I do think that if we continue to see the usage that we see, that it won't be long for this world, especially with the demo of Hoopla next year. Now, those are very different resources, right? We're talking about giving people work and life skills and Gale courses versus entertainment films. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you're saying like, oh, this is an even split. It would be servicing different populations, so that's a factor to consider. But yeah, I would say that Gale courses, if anything, we may see disappear.
I just happened to pick that one, but
Yeah.
in general, everybody pays a shared cost.
Correct.
And so if you're a member of Bridges, everybody is paying these line items. You can't opt out of anything in particular because it's not.
Yeah,
worth it for you.
I mean,
It's Muskego Library.
I think it would be correct.
That makes sense to me.
Yep.
Just wanted to be sure I understood. So these could change at any time, as you said. Gale courses
Correct.
could be replaced by something else or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we actually, movie licenses is something that we could choose to drop out of without needing everyone to drop out.
Okay.
Right now, we're still doing the movie matinees. In the strategic plan, you'll see that we're going to try to do some family movies, or like in the summer, we do the chill, what do you call it? I can't remember the name of the program now, but that allows us to show movies in the library. So right now, that's still worth it.
Are these fees amortized based on the number of people who go into a particular library, or does everybody pay the same amount?
It is based on municipal population and or service
municipal.
population. Yeah, so it's not based on usage. So certainly someone who has a certain size population, they use it a lot. It's not based on usage.
Yes.
If that.
So the growing community will end up paying more of the share of it, and then
Mm-hmm.
so they redistribute every year.
Yeah, the numbers will adjust slightly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions or concerns? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is approved. Thank you. And we'll move into item number 2 under new business, a discussion, the presentation of data from the strategic planning process.
All right. And as I'm starting this PowerPoint slide, if I could just have you sign these now, because if I forget, I will be so sad at myself. Not mad, sad. And then it says secretary, but we don't have a secretary because we record. So Gail, would you be willing to underwrite the second line? Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for putting up with my massive email I sent you all. I sent it and I went, oh, I hope no one just runs from this meeting based on this email alone. But it's a result of a lot of hard work by the staff, by the community for giving us feedback, by the strategic planning committee. So we're excited to move this process along and get the strategic plan ready. So as I said in the email, my first step is to briefly go through some slides. And strategic planning committee saw a expanded version of this. I sort of cherry-picked some things that I thought would be interesting and possibly help provide some context to the action items you see in the plan. But I also wanted you guys to see what was in the community because I think it's interesting. So here we go. And everything I do is intentional, and everything I do is backed by data. Even the slide, because in the focus groups, nature was something that the community prioritized. So as you can see, I have a very natural-based slide. So it informs everything I do now, the strategic plan data. Okay, so let me just turn to my packet page so that I don't miss something. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so meeting objectives. I'm working really hard at something that I think is sort of something I need to work on is managing meetings, hopefully maybe not so much these, but certainly my staff meetings, really emphasizing why are we here and what do we want to accomplish at the beginning, because there's nothing worse. I'm sure we've all been to a meeting where we feel like we're like, why am I here? I shouldn't have been invited to this, all that. So I'm trying to do the whys and the whats. So why are we here? To review the draft of the 2020-2023 plan that came out of the Strategic Planning Committee. And the desired outcome of tonight is to have a discussion about the draft, to answer any questions you have, and then be prepared to vote on the final draft at the December board meeting. So again, there's no vote tonight. This is not the last chance you'll have to review it. This is merely to have discussion and ask questions. Just to give you an update on the draft status, it has been reviewed by the Strategic Planning Committee, and it has now been passed out of that committee into the full board, and Gail, Camille, and Michelle are on the Strategic Planning Committee. The action items that are in the draft have gone through the management team, so I met with Circulation Supervisor Jane and Head of Reference Elka. So we talked about it quite a bit and how these action items can be supported by our staff. And also, I had 3 meetings with library staff where we did a barrier and feasibility assessment. I'll go more over that in a little bit. All of these action items are data-driven, so from community feedback or data trends. So I would say I don't think there's a single action item here that I can't say, well, based on community feedback or community ideas or based on data, library trends from previous data and demographics, that's why this is here or not here. The timeframes are flexible. So really the importance of the timeframes was for me. I wanted to make sure that we had a balanced plan, something that wasn't going to run out in 1 year or something that wasn't going to take us 7 years to complete. I wanted to make sure that it fit the time frame that we had. But, you know, we all know that times can change based on additional ideas that we get, based on staffing, based on budget, all that stuff. So really the times we're not committed to them. It's just sort of, it was helpful for me in the planning stages. And I did leave some intentional room for growth and innovation because similar to what you would see from the last strategic plan, there were suggestions there, but then also along the way, new ideas come out. Librarians go to conferences, a new business comes in and has an idea for collaboration. So there are going to be action items that sort of blossom as we move through the strategic plan, and those will be built into the individual action plans that we have every year. So that's sort of what's been happening to lead us to tonight. So I mentioned that I worked with the staff and the library management team about barriers. So certainly that's always important to make sure that we have something that is possible, a plan that is possible. So those barriers are time, money, feasibility, like physically can it be done? So for instance, if I were to say, I really wish we had more space, let's build a second floor to the library, feasibly someone might come to me and say, as an engineer, you cannot build a second, so even though it's a good idea, even if the community gave me feedback, it's still not feasible. And then, is it good for the community? Should we actually do it? And that's just such an important question because certainly we'll have one-off recommendations. Someone might say, I really think we should have a fireplace in the library. Only one person said it. Maybe it's a good idea, and we do it because we look into it and think, I think a lot more people, nobody else thought of it, but it's still a good idea. Or it could just be a nugget of an idea that someone had, but if it's not something that's going to bring widespread benefit to the community, it's not something we should do. So all of those 4 factors, those barriers to trying something new, were considered for each of these action items. Now, sometimes barriers come up that we don't expect, but based on what we can anticipate, we do feel like these action items are feasible. Okay, so our draft discussion agenda for tonight is going to be doing a demographic and trends overview. So we're going to look at some of the demographic research that I did and looking at library trend data from the DPI. We're going to look at the data results from our community feedback collection, so the surveys, focus groups, and interviews and testimonials. And then we're going to review those goals and action items based on those 3 strategic initiative areas: facilities, services, and communication and outreach. Okay, so this is just a fun little FYI, Census quick facts. And again, I'm not going to read everything because we do need to move along, but some interesting call-outs, of course, is that we are getting very close to that $25,000 mark. And when that happens, it changes a little bit in what types of services we have to make sure we maintain in terms of FTE, in terms of how many computers we have, in terms of our materials budget. I have gone through it, and we're safe at the $25,000 mark. Okay, so 25,000 population mark. But it's something I'm tracking and watching, so just know that I'm on it. Our population is increasing. Many in our household in Muskego have a computer, but not as many have broadband internet. So it's, something, again, for us to consider as we're offering services, that internet connection is still relevant. It explains why the hotspots are still popular. So just a little context, again, as we think about who we're serving. This is pulled from all of our state annual reports from 2009 through 2018, because, of course, 2019, while it is almost done, we don't have the full extent of the data yet. And I thought you would find this interesting. The arrows go up or down to sort of indicate what the trends are. Obviously, e-content has been going up for quite a while. Our card holders, we're sort of at a, I would say, even balance. We're not gaining a lot. We're not losing a lot. Programs, you can tell when our very creative librarians, Abby and Amanda, got hired, because you can see a massive uptick in programming attendance since 2015, and that's a result of their energy and creativity. Circulation has gone back and forth a little bit in the last couple years, but by and large up, right, since 2009. And same with library visits as well. But to summarize in another way, so 2018, so the last full year of data that we have, this is our library landscape. Circulation has been up and down, but 2018 had the highest circ since 2009, so that's fantastic. E-content up. Library visits have been trending up since 2014, and 2018 was the highest number since 2010, so 8-year high. Card holders are steady, which again defies the national average, actually. And our program attendance is trending up, with 2018 being the highest number since 2009. So we are positioned in a good place, but we're also positioned in an exciting place to continue to move forward and continue to expand and support the community. So, the data collection breakdown, I think I've shown these numbers to you guys in a couple of different ways, but just to reiterate, we had about 1,496 community contact points, and that means that those are data points or pieces of feedback. And you can see how that breaks down over the different data collection methods we had. All right, so to start with the survey, we had 438 respondents. That satisfies a 95% confidence level for the survey results. So we can feel confident that the generalizations that we pull are representative of the community at large. Okay, so one of the questions on the survey was, why have you visited the library in the last 6 months? And they could check all of them that apply. So just something to call out, you can see that participate in a teen library program and event is fairly low. But also, what is important to consider with any data is that we did not have a lot of teens reply to this survey. We did a separate teen survey, but to this survey, no. So, of course, that number is going to be low because it says participate in, and if you're an adult, you did not participate. You can see that the most popular is people like to be entertained and they want to learn more. Those are by far the most popular, followed by family programming. So, And again, this helps us prioritize our services, figure out where we do updates first. What it tells me is that our materials budget needs to maintain, right? That's something that a lot of times libraries struggle with, is should we be reducing our materials budget? And this feedback tells me, along with our strong checkouts in 2018, and in 2019 as well, we're only about 1% down compared to last year, tells me that our materials budget should maintain. And so these are the types of things that I'm pulling from data like this. What I thought was interesting is I really wanted to look at the 2016 survey results, and I did this on purpose. I took a lot of the questions from the previous survey and I kept them the same because I wanted to see, did we improve from 2016? Anything where we went down in, that would be a concern for me, because it was a problem in 2016, and not only did we not help correct it, it's gotten worse. So if you look at those same questions from here, and you compare it to the 2016 survey responses, you will see that we have improved in most areas, all areas. Let me see here. So entertainment in 2016, 74% said that's why they visited the library, and that increased to 82% in 2019, 40 to 45% for learning, programming. If you don't see a comparison, that's just because they didn't ask that question in 2016. That's a new question that I asked in 2019. So let's see here. Okay, so there was a drop in library staff, asking them an information question. Not too surprising when you think about the more devices and the ability for people to be mobile and do their own searching, so that's not surprising. So that was probably the biggest drop, the biggest change. Let's see. Checkout materials for school. I think that the school system has very strong libraries, and someone continues to make them even stronger. And so it makes sense that perhaps we might see that as well. So I think those were the biggest drops right there. All right, and this is continued perception of the library versus 2016. So the largest increases we're seeing offers valuable services for children. So in 3 years, that perception continues to increase. Same with providing access to the information I need. So people, they believed that. They somewhat agreed with it in 2016, and they are even closer to fully agreeing with it in 2019. This was a pretty big increase too, so exposing to new ideas. I'm really curious about this one, but of course, again, that was a new category that I added, so I don't really have a comparison. But if you look just in 2019, what do people perceive as being our great strengths? Well, they really like our facility, and they really think that we are important, and they very much think that we offer valuable services for children. So that's our strongest categories. So again, if I were to be thinking, where can we improve, I would start to ask myself, even though that's not bad, right? That's not, -2 is disagree, 2 is agree, 1.27 is still not awful, it's not even neutral, but it is our lowest numbers. So the question I would have is, why do not as many people think it's a place to go to relax, and what can we do to fix that? Okay, so I'm aware the Muskego Public Library offers these services. So again, this is an awareness. Something that I am keenly aware of is the improvements we need to make to our communication, both in new areas, new ways to communicate, but also, new ways to communicate. So this is very helpful to me to figure out where people aren't aware. So you can see that there, the light blue was 2016. And again, if you don't see a comparison, it's because they didn't ask that in 2016 compared to the blue. So people are, in general, becoming more aware of the resources we can compare to. So that's great. Online genealogy resources, Ancestry.com, had a drop. My presumption there was possibly that people are purchasing it themselves. You know, those the cheek swab kits, those have become very popular, and so people are either buying it on their own or researching on their own, or it's possible it's not as interesting of a pastime anymore. I don't know. My mom loves genealogy. I'm not as interested in it, so that could be possible explanations for that. But again, the awareness where they're most aware tends to be our ebooks and our study rooms, our video games, and these are in terms of services, our online magazines. So that, where was it? The addendum that you guys just approved, that digital magazines. So that's paying for Flipster, and you can see that that went from 27% awareness to 41%. So that did a big leap in the 3 years. So again, what do we invest in? And or what do we need to advertise more? This is very low. This is a new resource. So, but we do need to continue to push it because that's pretty low awareness. Maker kits, still fairly new, but still need to push it. Gale courses, there's our Gale courses, right? Not new. So, still need to push it or time to sunset it. Continued awareness. So again, you can see high level of awareness that we have books to borrow, computers, movies, CDs, newspapers, Wi-Fi, audiobooks. Those are some of those core traditional library services that we have. People look at that increase in awareness from even 2016. So.
Are we concerned about the 1% that doesn't know we have books?
Possibly. We should possibly be concerned.
Outreach to those ones.
Yes. Where can I find them? I'll have coffee with them. Funny. Even look at the hard work Amanda has done. Programs for teens. 52% awareness in 2016 to 72%. That's a great leap. So good for her efforts. Okay. Are you satisfied with the hours? We gave all the hours in the survey and asked them. So 435 responses, 86% satisfied. 47 out of the 435 said Sunday hours. Only 14 said Friday hours, so statistically not very relevant in my opinion. I did some more research, looked at other libraries, thought about what the costs would be for Sunday hours, presented some of those findings in strategic planning. It would be at least $22,000 a year to start offering Sunday hours. In my opinion, the 47 people who were interested out of the 435, based on that costs, to me that's not enough return on investment to do it at this time. But I do think it's something that I will continue to monitor.
Are there many libraries open Sundays?
It's a mix. I would say it's not 50-50, but there are a number that are. It's a good question. Okay, so how does the library contribute to goals? And again, we have a scale of a lot is 3, somewhat is 2, a little is 1, -1 is not at all. So how do we contribute to goals? Access to entertainment, 2.55, not surprising given their level of awareness and why they've come to the library in the last 6 months. Providing a safe place to meet. So as you can see, this is by far something they prioritize, which makes sense because they also said that our facilities was one of our greatest strengths. And to me, this is something that is just so priceless, is even being able to offer a space for people to meet. a community presence. So I'm thrilled that people recognize that as a value add. But again, all these numbers, while by comparison this one's the highest, they all fall in between the 2s and the 3s, so between somewhat and a lot. So that's excellent. That's good. List of improvements to the physical space. We just gave them some examples. And updating the teen area was the strongest of those, but followed pretty close behind by increasing the number of group study rooms, which is not a surprise. I just had to turn some teens away who were looking for a study room, so I felt bad about that. So again, this can help us inform and prioritize capital projects. For service ideas, you can see these were all, I thought it was really fascinating how even these all were. But the slight winner was expanding services to senior residences. This will be a very interesting, I don't want to call it a challenge, it will be an interesting thing for us to logistically plan, because the amount of senior residences in Muskego is increasing at a pretty high rate. And making sure that if we offer a service, we're checking in with all of them, because I don't want to say, well, Tudor Oaks, you get this, but Regency, good luck. But then how we can staff and support this pretty wide expansion we're seeing is something that I'm going to be talking about with staff in the coming months. So, okay, testimonials. I love my library because now, we were handing out hearts, so I wasn't exactly anticipating people to be like, I love the library because actually I don't. So I wasn't expecting constructive criticism, but I was curious what people value. And again, that helps inform us what should we be doing more of, what should we be continuing to support. So you can see that books, they love us. That's a word that showed up a lot, that we're helpful, reading, staff, but sort of some of the general call-outs is that they love the materials we offer and love reading. They like us. That's fantastic. They love our programs. They like our facility and the new kids area. So these are things that are important to people and why they like us. Focus group and interview data. So one of the questions I would ask in focus groups or in the interviews was, why would you tell a friend about the Muskego Library? Again, to sort of figure out, like, what are they valuing and prioritizing? So these were just some things that floated to the top as consistent answers. And, you know, I think this is interesting because it sort of matches what the survey said. And it's nice when we see the focus group and the interviews sort of reinforcing the survey. It shows that one data collection method isn't off, right? Because if I had asked really bizarre interview questions, they might show a very different set of results than what the survey was saying, and that would be a clue to me that, ooh, I didn't I didn't ask the right questions in the interview. But they're matching up. Which library services benefit you most? Again, where we should prioritize. So for instance, and this is helpful, so if someone were to say to me, you know what, we really want to take over those study rooms and use them for storage, I would say, no, that's a bad idea. So again, this data will help me make decisions and help me know what to preserve and what not to. What makes Muskego special? So you all took part in a focus group at the October meeting, and what I thought you guys would find very interesting is that the red text indicates how your answers from the focus group reflect the general answers I got from the summary of the focus group. And so what this should tell you, what you guys should feel good about, is that the whole point of a library board is to have you represent the community. And to me, it's very clear that you do, because many of your answers matched up with what the community was saying as well. So if you're ever like, oh gosh, I hope I'm representing, you are. That's fantastic. So this is what both you and the community said makes Muskego special. And then what Muskego is missing. And again, I was very deliberate about not saying necessarily the library, because where can we step into a space? If there's a gaping hole in Muskego because Muskego doesn't have X, if there's something we can do that fits within our mission, then we have just created a value add for the community and reinforced our importance. So more restaurants was something that came up quite a bit. And so in my friends meeting on Monday, we talked about doing a food truck rally as a fundraiser, but also as a way to bring new and interesting foods to the community. So again, it informs the types of fundraising we do too. So the strategic plan data has just been so helpful to me already. Community center, we don't have one. We don't have a senior center. Now selfishly, am I super sad about that? No, because then what does that make us? It makes us the community center. It makes us the senior center. Not that I don't want good things to happen in Muskego, but it makes it important that we have these meeting rooms, that we make them as available as possible to people, that we offer those things. Some things I can't necessarily fix. But again, the red text sort of shows where you guys were intersecting. I wanted to call out the teen survey because I thought this was interesting. Boop. Teens like the study rooms, and that makes sense. So if you remember, one of the priorities that was, it wasn't the highest, the teen area was, but the second highest was study rooms. So now we're seeing that in the survey, we're seeing that in the teen survey. So when you see the action plan, or I'm sorry, the strategic plan, and you see that one of the action items is build more study rooms and enhance the study rooms we have, it's because of these types of comments. Teen focus groups. When we talked with teens, they said they want more study rooms and to make them nicer, and they are so right. Those study rooms are hard to sit in. So that's my big plan, is to slap some paint and get some art up there and a plant or something. And they want larger tables for group work, which, again, can be achievable as we work to fix the teen area. We did feedback boards. Again, people can respond in many different ways. I wanted to make sure there was a visual component. And so you can see this helps inform our potential future furniture plans. And actually, we just finished a furniture capital plan, and I was able to squeeze in a few pods. I bought them out of the operating budget, actually, because it saved us quite a bit of money to not have to do a separate install down the road. And because I knew this was so popular, that's what made me pick those versus something else. Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. I will do that. Thank you, Gail. Let's see here. Oh. Okay. So if you're going to hang up now, I'll mark you as out at 6 o'clock, or are you still going to hang on for a few minutes?
Well, I think I'd better get ready in there.
Okay.
I do want to say I do agree with the community center thing, because obviously when they were, doing that survey, I kind of expected that, but it makes sense that you're getting so into the center thing. And I think we're able to study all areas, because with my Joshua, it looks like the flyer in the library, and he almost said it runs into times where it's there also.
Yeah, I hate that we have to turn people away. So I think I have a good area where we can put more rooms in. So
Okay, sounds good.
thank you, Tracy.
Thank you,
Have a
Tracy.
good night.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan, for allowing your phone to be
Yes, thank you.
a vehicle for the meeting. Let's see here. I was surprised. I thought they might want to see us on Twitter, but they just want to be texted. And look at that. I think there's an interest in having something physical still, which makes sense because in the focus groups, our print calendars were still something that people said, please don't get rid of the print calendars. Please keep that up. So. And we specifically targeted the young adults and sort of just asked them what kinds of things they were looking for as well. Again, they would kind of want group study environments because, as Tracy mentioned, they come here a lot after school. We've been doing a lot of teen data collection lately, and they are everywhere, and that's a good thing. Okay, so here we are. That was the first item of the agenda, the demographic and trends overview. I'm sorry, that was the second one, and the data results. So I hope that sort of provided some insight into what types of data, the rich data that we got from the community and the variety of data. And hopefully as you were seeing some of that, you thought, I can see where those action items were coming from based on the data we collected.
I have a question on the restaurants. A lot more
Yes.
restaurants here. Did they specifically mention what type? Because the restaurants are going out of business right and left here.
I know, like
We
the
don't support the restaurants.
outside in. Yeah, so I wouldn't say that I got this is the stuff that I did get. And again, it sort of flies into the face of the outside in situation. But they said they want more sit-down restaurants. They said there's a lot of chains and fast food, and so they want more sit-down.
Meatballs. That's
Yeah.
never open at night anymore.
Yeah, they've
Mickey's
struggled.
looks like
They
it's
Miko's,
struggling
they
too.
even put the back bar in so that there could be parties back there and
Yeah, I
stuff.
know.
But
Never open when I drive by now.
and Mickey's just struggled. He's just struggled from day one. So
Well, and I
they close or he's still open, but sometimes it's so dark in there that people might drive by and think it's closed.
So
one of my interviews was with Chris Ann, and I asked her about the business community and what we could do to help them, but also like what the struggles are. And she said that one of the challenges is that people try a place, and then if they don't have a great experience, instead of trying it again, they're just done. And then the word gets out, and then I read once that a restaurant in particular, the first year you're not making any money at all.
It's true.
And it's a very hard business anyway. And so if you're already not making money in the first year, and then you're torpedoed in the first couple weeks because of some bad experiences, I think it's hard to recover from that if you're a small business,
I think
small
some
restaurant.
people are really tough in their restaurants.
So
But then they want to go and have bar food. They're like, they want to go to Mark's Pioneer Inn. Alpine. Well, Alpine's more the bar food, but, and then they get set. That's where they go.
yeah, so it'll be I did find that interesting. But they do not want more fast food chains. That was clear to me. Okay, so here on we are to the meat of it, the strategic plan. So as I said, and if you are not okay with this, I'm certainly at. Oops. Oh, right. This is the last one. I'm certainly at your disposal in this, but my suggestion was that instead of me going through it line by line, because that's a lot, and as much as you all love me, I'm sure, you probably don't want to be here that long. I thought that instead I could give a brief introduction, call out a few things, and then you can just ask me whatever questions you have. And then based on this context, you can think a little bit more. If there's anything that comes up, again, we don't vote until the next meeting. So let's get started. Draft 3, which I... Okay. So let me just... There we all are.
So we'll just roll right into, this would be item number 3 then, under new business.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. That's right. This is a new
No,
action
that's
item.
okay, just verifying.
Yep. So we are rolling into packet page 36. And that's just the cover page, lack of interest. So let's skip to packet page 40 is just sort of a summary of what we did. I kind of wanted this to be sort of a memory of what was done for the process. I'm not going to lie, this process took a lot of my time. And so it was my first strategic plan here, obviously. And so there was a lot of things that I was building that hopefully moving forward I can pick what was successful and do it again, so it won't take as much brain power as it did and time. So this is supposed to sort of be a framework of what we did. And then, so that's 40 and 41. Strategic statements. This this was a misunderstanding on my part. So I had originally, this is from the previous plan as well. It has the mission statement, the vision, and value statement. And I was not going to target it for revision because I thought that these were created during the last strategic plan. And I thought that, well, if they created these for 2017 and here we are only 2 years later, it doesn't make sense to all of a sudden come up with a new mission statement. You know, you need time to invest in a mission statement. That was my presumption. It turns out that this is all from before the previous strategic plan, so I was wrong about that. But by the time I found that out, we were already in like late October. So what I would say is that they were not targeted because I thought it was too fast, but now I know that they're older than that. So what I will say is if this is something that the board is interested in me looking at before the next strategic plan, I would be happy to go through a development process on this at some point in the next year or so. So you can just think about that and let me know as a board if you would prefer to have this done. And I think if we were to do it, I would like to talk to some type of branding person. While I could make edits myself, I do think there's value in having an expert sort of say, this is what's dynamic or not dynamic. This is not a mission statement. This is what you should do. Things like that. So think about that in the back of your mind, and you guys can, mention that at the December meeting if you'd like me to target those for revision.
And we had kind of also stated at the strategic planning meeting that, the mission statement, just those 3 words, it's not a statement. And the library vision is more of a statement. It's a long version, but it contains more of a statement than the statement does.
It's not a statement.
Yeah, the statement's not a statement.
And and you want something that's going to really make you
Pop out.
feel excited, and I don't know if that quite does this yet. So again, feel free to think about it. I know we're missing some people, but at least initial feedback seems like this might be something I want to tackle next year. So I'm going to make that initial note, and then I'll mention it again at the December meeting. Okay, excellent. Thank you for that feedback. I made that. Excuse me. No. It's masquerading.
It is.
Okay, so the strategic narrative is I wanted to put in some of those demographic and library trends that I had in the slides, and so that's just sort of a summary of that. Again, just to give people a snapshot, if they were looking at this almost like a time capsule, they could say, what were they thinking? You can say, okay, based on some of this is how these came about. But the thing I do want to call out in this section is the plan duration. So just to quickly summarize, the last plan was a 3-year plan. So they planned it in 2016. It went into effect in 2017. And by the end of 2018, I was coming up with the framework for the next strategic plan. And then basically in the 3rd year of the plan, I was already planning for the future. That is, in my opinion, quite a bit of fast turnaround time. We had only done 2 years of data before we started over again. So my recommendation was to move to a 4-year plan instead of a 3-year plan. And that was in part why I started assigning in some ways, arbitrary time dates to the different action items to sort of see, do I have a 4-year plan or do I only have a 3-year plan? And I did a load balance, and in my opinion, we do have enough action items that came out of it to warrant a 4-year plan. So,
I have one thing I forgot to bring up.
yeah.
This might be too nitpicky, but could we put someplace in the introduction or wherever just a sentence saying that the plans run matching the calendar year, like our fiscal year matches calendar?
That's fair.
Because
Yeah.
I work at a place where it's June to July, and so
I
we're always
know.
talking about fiscal year.
We did that too
different
at Carol.
numbers.
It's so
Yeah,
crazy.
so it would
Yes.
help me. Because when I first looked at this, I'm like, that's only 2 years, and then I thought, oh no, it's calendar, so that's
Absolutely.
Good point.
the way my brain works.
Yeah,
Okay. Yep.
thank you for bringing that up.
Calendar year. That's a very good.
Earlier,
No, I mean, we can't think of everything all the time. Excellent. Thank you for that. So, so one of my questions to you, aside from the strategic statements, was, as a board, are we okay with the 4-year plan? Okay, so now we are into the first strategic initiative. So for those of you very familiar with the previous plan, and I think I mentioned this before, but I can't recall, the strategic initiatives remain the same: facilities, services, and communication and outreach to the last plan. And you know, there was a professional company that helped sift through and come up with those, and they really still fit the categories of libraries that we need, library actions we need to focus on. What's more, I took it a step further and I actually kept all of these bold goals the same as well. And at first I was like, well, that can't be. These should all be changed. But when you look at them, they're very general still, right? Like, of course, we still have to maintain the facilities. And I kept trying to change them, and I realized it was an ego thing. I was trying to change it so that it didn't look like I was just riffing off of the previous, and I was like, Brittany, calm down. These are still relevant. So I did make some small changes where it was necessary, or, for instance, there was a goal to redo the children's area. Well, we're not going to do that again for a while. So I removed that. But so the goals are the same as well. And really that was confirmed because I got all of these action items from the community feedback, and then I just tried to plug them into the different goals, and they all fit. So I decided to stop running against the wave on that. And as I mentioned, I do have some things with dates in here that are outside of the 4-year plan. They are in many ways massive projects and or very costly. And I just wanted to put a placeholder in to sort of remind us all that these are looming right on the fringes of the plan. And in many cases, the logistics and prep work and the bids that I'm going to have to do, if we want this to happen in 2024, I have to be doing it in 2023, which is part of the plan. So that's sort of why some of those are there. Okay, so here we are in facilities. So I think at this point, if you have any questions related to any of the action items connected to facilities, I will entertain questions.
Were you going to spell out RFID?
Oh, yes. Yep, that's a good point. So on packet page 45, I will spell out RFID. And just so you know, based on my goals, one of my goals was to investigate RFID. And you'll see later that we've been doing site visits, we've been doing research, I'm writing up some of my data right now. At this point, I'm still not quite ready to make a recommendation. I'm still going through that, but I left it in there because, if for some reason my report says, no, this is not a good idea, then we just don't follow through with the action item. But I would prefer to have it in than not have it in. Okay, I will spell that out. Anything else about facilities, or I will move on to services? And if I'm going too fast, please halt me. Okay. So let's go on to packet page 46 then, services. Just going to skim it and see if there was anything. One of the things you'll notice is I've been, so again, all these action items came out of either the trends that we saw or community ideas. One of the things that I've personally been dwelling a lot on is how we onboard new employees, and I think we and especially me could do a better job of that. So that's something that I'm really going to be deliberately working on. So you can see on packet page 47, I'm trying to introduce more regular staff meetings for circulation. They're part-time staff and they don't always see each other as a group, and I think that there's value in that. So that's something I'm going to be intentionally working on. Developing a training module for trustees, a privacy and confidentiality training module for staff, so then when you are hired, you're immediately plugged into that. Like, we have OSHA and chemical spills, but one of the really important things that we do in libraries is protecting privacy of information, and that's a state statute. It's a legal thing. So I want to build a training module that will help walk people through it so that we have cohesive and consistent training. That onboarding orientation, the inclusive services and ability awareness training module, that's something that, again, I think would be of benefit to all of the staff and really help us to be able to provide the best service. So there's lots of training that I've been thinking about recently. We've been doing a lot of training this year. We just had an in-service, and I want to build that more into our daily routine and our hires.
How is staff responding to more of that going on? And are they responding that they were looking for this and thankful for this kind of thing?
I think so. I think they were. So what we've discovered is that in some ways we all thought we were on the same page, and then it was like, oh, we all interpreted that slightly differently. And then we stumble across it by accident. And so now we're aware of where we're off. Mm-hmm. And so we're having a lot of fantastic conversations, and once we sort of are back on the same page about a certain things, then I want to start building these modules so that it covers all that. Mm-hmm. So I think it was needed. In some cases, we didn't know what we didn't know, and now that we know, it's going to be of great benefit to us, because the worst is for our patrons, right? That when people aren't getting a consistent message and they hear one thing from a staff member and then another thing from another staff member, that's really hard. Right. And sometimes they were hearing something random from me, and then I go back and go, wait a minute, is that what that means? Mm-hmm. So I'm still learning things too, and it's been a great year for me picking up on some of this stuff. And again, because of the strategic plan, it's sort of turning over some stones and discovering, things that we could benefit from. So yeah, it's good.
Quick question: categories. I can't say
yeah.
Because now I got myself categorization. So are you going to genify?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's just it's Abby. She's already doing it. The picture book neighborhoods in grouping, and so she's just continuing to finish that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Sorry.
No,
What's that word?
I should pick a different word. That is not a great word. Right. Let's see here. One of the documents that I really used as a guiding principle was the Department of Public Instruction Public Library Standards. They have a lot of checklists that are just basically this is what you should be doing at minimum. This is what you should be doing if you're feeling plucky. And this is what you should be doing if you've got the money and the staff and the time and really want to hit it home. And so I've just been going through that, and that helped inform some of the action items as well. So that was a great document for me to be able to take some time and go through. You'll notice at the bottom of packet page 48, investigate accepting credit card and debit cards. That's one of those things that every time I have to tell a person will take their check, I just writhe a little bit because I'm like, oh, it's just time. And there's a big challenge with it. I just can't remember what it is. It has something to do with liability or insurance or something. Because I remember when I first got here, I thought, that's crazy. Let's get a credit card reader. And then someone said something and I went, oh gosh, that sounds horrifying. But I'm not as scared now as I was when I was hired. And we need to investigate it because
we are a world of credit card or debit card.
And it's just making things difficult for our patrons.
We don't have checkbooks anymore.
Yeah.
Can you open a library PayPal account? Credit card and
Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea what my options are. I need to talk to a lot of people because right now people can pay via credit card if they go through their library account. They can pay for their fines, but just their fines. They can't pay for meeting room reservations. They can't pay for copies or faxes or anything like that. But we need to get there. So.
Well, I know even like on the city website, if you're going to make your payments, like your property taxes or your utility, you can pay by using your checking account.
Oh, interesting.
And there's no fee, but you can also pay by debit or credit card, and then there is a fee. And that's how I pay for everything, but it goes through my checking account. But you have the option of, I think it's like $2.50 a transaction if you want to use your debit or your credit.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there would be some type of convenience fee. Like, I'm sure people wouldn't want to pay for a fax with their credit card. But at least the option would be there, as opposed to just denying someone a service because all they have is a credit card. So. Anything else about services that I can clarify or... All right, so communication and outreach. Again, this is an area that I think will require quite a bit of our time to sort of emphasize and refine. It's a tricky one, right? People have many different methods of communication now. And some people still crave the print and some people want the digital, and we all have different phones and, So this is an area that we will be spending quite a bit of time on over the next 4 years. So, I think there's some exciting new ideas that we can try. Now that this strategic planning business is all done, we're going to start going back through the policies again. They're from 2016. So it's time to review them all again, make sure they're still relevant. I have some recommendations to you all about some policies that have sort of been tripping me up lately. Like we won't post personal things. And someone lost their dog the other day, and I really wanted to post their lost dog flyer, but it's against our posting policy. But if we're a community center, I just feel like it'd be such a great place. Anyway, that's getting specific. But anyway, there are some policies that I would love to discuss with you all and get your feedback on. So now that strategic planning is done, we will have time to start up with that again. Oh, let's see, anything else? I've been working a lot with the Friends lately regarding fundraising. That's something that's going to be taking up some time and energy as we think about how we can expand Friends membership and boost fundraising. I think that's going to be something we need to work on. I have a meeting with the coffee shop owner tomorrow.
Oh, you do?
I do. Oh. Aaron, yeah. I happened to be driving past it one day and was hungry, so I just ended up walking in, and yeah, I'm excited.
Just let her know, because I
I
was going to introduce you.
I did not yet, so I will tell her. Yeah. Are you free tomorrow at 8:30? Probably
No,
not.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
At night, yes.
What's it?
I said at night, yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm excited to talk to her.
Yeah, she's great. And she was all about it. She's
Awesome.
like, oh, we can talk and collaborate. I was like, that's what she was here to do.
Awesome.
That's great.
Thank you for laying that groundwork. Because she actually said to me, she's like, I've been meaning to reach out to you. And I was like, oh, amazing. But that, you planted the seed, so it wasn't just a drive-by. I would really like to think about how we can be more business-friendly. So that was part of the creator recognition platform for local businesses who donate. But just in general, I think I have some ideas on ways that we can support local businesses. Anytime, like we had dementia training recently, and I was thinking, you know what, I bet there are other businesses in the community that may have wanted to send a representative to just get some training because they work with people in the community as well. So that's something that we can do that's free. If we're already paying for a trainer to come in, why not have a couple more people come? So I think there's some easy ways we can reach out to the business community and have develop our relationships and collaborations. Yeah, and then the timetables are really just reiterating all the action items, but they have action owners because, again, I kind of wanted to make sure, did I just assign a couple people a ton of stuff but have ignored other staff members? And so that was done to sort of balance that. And then, again, the time frames to make sure that we had a 4-year plan. So I don't really think we need to go over that. It's just the same. So overall, anything else that you think I should consider in terms of format? Anything that you thought was missing? Anything you want me to do a little bit more research on before the December meeting?
Are we having this agreement?
Possibly. So right now it's what I asked people to do is sort of think about it and email me between now and whenever you may know if you can't attend, and then I'll be able to assess if we have a quorum or not, and I'll try to send out a communication as soon as I possibly know if we don't have a quorum, so that people can continue to make plans. If we don't, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I mean, we're on our own timeline here, so if we approve the strategic plan at the January meeting, we will have only not had a strategic plan for 2.5 weeks or so. So that's, I don't think that's I'm not concerned about that. Beyond that, I'm trying to think of what else would come up at the December meeting. By then, the Personnel Committee would have given me my evaluation, so I don't think it would be damaging to the business operations if we end up not having a meeting. Well, if you think, I know this is a lot. If you think of anything in the meantime, please feel free to send me an email. I'll collect it, and then I can say at the next meeting, this is what came up since then. Is there anything else? Here's what other board members have been saying since the meeting. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you, Brittany. All right, moving along then in the agenda, item number 4 under new business, a discussion regarding 2019 director evaluation feedback to the library board's personnel committee. So at this time, I will read the statement of notice of closed session. The Library Board of the City of Muskego will meet at approximately 5 p.m. or as soon thereafter as time permits on Tuesday, November 19, 2019 in the Library Conference Room, Muskego Public Library, S73W16663 Janesville Road, Muskego, Wisconsin, following conclusion of consideration of the above portion of its regularly scheduled agenda to vote on a motion to convene in closed session at said time and place for discussion, action relative to the 2019 director evaluation, feedback to Library Board Personnel Committee, and to take such further action as may be necessary and appropriate with respect to such matters. The Library Board will hold the closed session in the library conference room at the library. A closed session for the above purpose is authorized pursuant to the provisions of Wisconsin statutes, section 19.85, section 1, paragraph C, which authorizes a governmental body, upon motion duly made and carried, to meet in closed session to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Upon conclusion of the closed session, the Library Board will convene an open session to consider its public agenda, including motions to recommend approval or rejection of the above listed deliberations or any of the public agenda items that have not been acted upon. At this time, I will entertain a motion to enter closed session, please.
I will make a motion to close session.
Camille, thank you. Is there a second on that? Michelle, thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? All right. That motion carries. We will enter closed session at 6:25 p.m.
We are back in open session.
Thank you. We are now back in open session at 6:54 p.m. and continuing on with our agenda. Looks like we just have communications and miscellaneous business as authorized by law. I don't have anything. Brittany, anything under that?
No, I've said all I have to say tonight.
All right. You did an awesome job. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your thoroughness and
Yes.
everything. Very much appreciated.
Well presented. All right. So at this time, I will entertain a motion for adjournment, please. Michelle, thank you. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? All right, we are adjourned at 6:55 p.m. 6:55 p.m. 6:55 p.m. 6:55 p.m.